The ultimate showdown, titans collide. When you think about the most unstoppable beasts to ever roam the land, who comes to mind? Is it the mighty African elephant, the modern-day juggernaut of the savannah? Picture this, a creature so massive it can flip a full-sized SUV like it's tossing a salad. No kidding, I've seen footage of one literally pushing over a safari truck like it was a toy. Or maybe your mind jumps to a name etched deep into pop culture and paleontology alike. Tyrannosaurus rex, the prehistoric boss monster, the apex of apex predators. This thing was so dominant, it took a literal asteroid to take it out. Think about that. Now here's the wild thought. What if these two titans, one from our world today, and one from 66 million years ago, went head-to-head in a one-on-one battle? That's right, a no-holds-barred, tail-swinging, tusk-thrashing, tooth-gnashing showdown. Who wins? The living tank with brains and brawn, or the bone-crushing lizard king with jaws built like industrial machinery? Let's be honest, it's the kind of matchup that keeps animal nerds like me awake at night. It's King Kong versus Godzilla, but this time, grounded in real biology. And before you pick your side, let me warn you, this fight isn't as one-sided as you might think, so buckle up. We're about to break down one of the greatest what-if battles in the history of Earth, and trust me, the result might just surprise you. T-Rex, the prehistoric bone-crushing boss. Alright, let's talk about the legend, the myth, the nightmare fuel of the late Cretaceous, Tyrannosaurus rex. We're talking about a creature that was over 40 feet long, weighed up to 9 tons, and had a head so massive it was basically carrying around a grizzly bear on its shoulders. That's right, the skull of Sue, the most complete T-Rex ever found, weighed about 600 pounds. That's the size of an entire adult male bear, just the skull. That alone should make you a little nervous. Now, let's talk teeth. These weren't your typical predator fangs. T-Rex had teeth the size of bananas, thick, serrated, and built to crush, not slice. And when this dinosaur bit down, it was like the jaws of doom themselves. Scientists estimate its bite force was anywhere from 8,000 to 12,000 psi. For reference, that's about 10 times stronger than a great white shark and more than 50 times stronger than you or me. Imagine a car compactor but with attitude and hunger. You'd think with all that power up top, T-Rex might be clumsy or slow, right? Think again. Sure, it didn't move like a cheetah, but this beast wasn't built for speed, it was built for control. It had a wide, stable hip structure, strong digitigrade legs, and shockingly low rotational inertia for something its size. Translation, it could pivot like a 9-ton ballerina. A very angry ballerina. In a fight, it didn't need to chase you. It needed to outmaneuver you. Ever seen a heavyweight boxer who doesn't just hit hard but also knows how to dance around the ring? That was T-Rex, only instead of gloves, it used bone-shattering teeth. Instead of punching, it was crushing rib cages. And yes, we all laugh at those tiny little arms. But let me tell you something, those arms were surprisingly strong for their size, and they weren't there for nothing. They may not have landed knockout punches, but they were built for gripping prey during close quarters combat. Think of them more like meat hooks than noodles. Here's the big question, though. With all that brute strength, that terrifying bite, and that surprisingly agile movement, could T-Rex really handle something as big and bold as an African elephant? That's what we're here to find out. But one thing's for sure. If I were walking through a late Cretaceous forest and heard something crashing through the trees, and it turned out to be a T-Rex, I'd be running faster than a squirrel on espresso. The African elephant, the modern-day champion. Now let's shift gears and meet the reigning king of the modern animal kingdom, the heavyweight champ stomping across the African savanna with the swagger of someone who knows they've got nothing to fear. I'm talking about the one and only African elephant. This isn't just a big animal, it's a biological tank on 4 legs. A full-grown male bull can weigh over 7 tons, and in rare cases, some record holders have tipped the scales at a whopping 10.5 tons. That's right, bigger than most T-Rexes. Imagine a school bus with tusks. That's what we're dealing with here, but weight is just the start. These animals are built like NFL linemen on prehistoric steroids. Their skulls, up to 6 inches thick in some spots. Think battering ram with eyes. Their bones, not hollow like a bird's or a dinosaur's. We're talking solid mammalian bone, dense, durable, and strong enough to withstand crazy amounts of pressure. I once saw footage of a bull elephant flipping over a Land Cruiser like it was a lawn chair. Not a scratch on him, just another Tuesday in the bush. Oh, and let's talk tusks. These ivory lances can stretch up to 6 feet long and are used less like swords and more like clubs or crowbars. Elephants don't go for the kill shot. They go for control. They shove, they ram, they pivot you off balance, and if you're unlucky, they'll toss you like a salad. Now, let's get real for a second. Strength is impressive, but brains, that's a game changer. And African elephants are off the charts intelligent. These animals can recognize themselves in mirrors, mourn their dead, and remember waterholes they haven't visited in years. In confrontations, they don't just react. They assess, adapt, and plan. I've personally watched an elephant feign retreat, lure a group of predators closer, then turn around and charge at the perfect moment. That's not instinct, that's strategy. But here's the million-dollar question. Is brains plus brawn enough to take down a predator that made a living hunting armored giants like Triceratops? Because while elephants are virtually untouchable today, no lion, hyena, or rhino dares challenge them. They've never had to deal with anything quite like a T-Rex. No living predator has the jaw power, the size, or the ferocity that T-Rex brought to the table. So what happens when the king of the modern world meets the apex predator of the prehistoric past? Can intelligence and mass beat a bite force that crushes steel? Can tusks fend off teeth the size of steak knives? We're about to find out. Weapons and fighting style, brains, bites, and bulldozers. Now here's where things get spicy, because no matter how big or smart you are, when it comes down to a one-on-one fight, your weapons and how you use them matter more than anything else. Let's start with the Tyrannosaurus rex. This dinosaur was basically nature's version of all-in on offense. Forget claws, forget tail whips. T-Rex packed nearly every attack point into one terrifying tool, its jaw. This wasn't just any jaw. This was a 5-foot-long bone-crushing machine, loaded with teeth the size of bananas. Not slicing teeth like a tiger's. Nope. These were thick, serrated, conical spikes designed to grip, crush, and destroy. Think industrial meat grinder with a bad attitude. A T-Rex bite could exert up to 12,000 pounds of force per square inch. That's like putting a school bus on your head and then stomping it for fun. It didn't nibble. It didn't scratch. It obliterated. Bones, gone. Armor, cracked. Limbs, possibly severed. That was the T-Rex playbook. Now let's flip the script. The African elephant, on the other hand, is a master of brute control. While it doesn't have slicing horns like a rhino or stabbing claws like a lion, it makes up for it with precision and power, its primary weapons. Those massive ivory tusks up to 6 feet long, made of dense bone, and anchored in a skull thick enough to deflect bullets. But here's the twist. Elephants don't fight to kill, they fight to dominate. They use their tusks like crowbars and battering rams, not to impale, but to shove, twist, and throw. Watch two bulls fight during mating season, and you'll see it's like sumo wrestling meets demolition derby. And here's a personal favorite moment I witnessed on safari. A young bull got too confident and tried to bluff a more experienced one. The veteran didn't even stab. He just used his tusks to lift the kid off his feet and sent him tumbling like a toddler in a bounce house. The message: know your role. Now here's where the matchup gets interesting. T-Rex has experience taking on armored tanks. Remember Triceratops? That was a 3-horned, shield-headed, 2-ton brute built like a living bulldozer. And T-Rex still managed to bring those guys down. So while an elephant may look intimidating, it's nothing new to a predator that's wrestled with dinosaurs that had actual face armor and stabbing weapons. If T-Rex could survive a Triceratops charge, it may very well sidestep or counter an elephant too. And this is a big but: if the elephant lands a clean charge square to the ribs, it could tip the scales. With over 10,000 pounds of weight behind it, a bull elephant could potentially knock the T-Rex off balance, maybe even topple it. So that brings us to the million-dollar question: can an elephant actually land that hit? Can it time its charge just right to catch a predator that's faster, more agile, and battle-tested? Or will the T-Rex, like a prehistoric matador, dodge at the last second and sink those monster teeth into the elephant's neck? We're getting closer to the final verdict. But right now, it's still anyone's game. Intelligence versus killer instinct, who outsmarts who. Alright, folks, Now we're entering one of my favorite parts of any animal showdown, the battle of the brains. Because let's face it, brute strength only gets you so far. Eventually, you've got to outthink your opponent, so here's the big question. What happens when a genius battles a gladiator? Let's start with the genius, the African elephant. These creatures aren't just smart, they're next level smart. We're talking about animals that grieve their dead, recognize themselves in mirrors, use tools, and even problem solve in real time. If elephants had thumbs and a few million more years of evolution, they might be giving us a run for our money in tech support. Their brains are the largest of any land animal, and that size comes with some serious perks. They can remember water holes from years ago, recognize other individuals after decades, and even read the body language of predators before deciding whether to stand their ground or walk away. I once saw an old matriarch guide her herd away from a distant pride of lions long before the lions even noticed them. That's intuition backed by experience. In a fight, this kind of intelligence means strategy. The elephant won't just charge blindly. It will assess, adjust, and possibly even bait the T-Rex into making a mistake. That's some battlefield IQ right there. But let's not sell the T-Rex short. Sure, its arms looked like they missed leg day for all of eternity. But this predator wasn't stupid. Far from it. It had an impressive olfactory system, which means it could sniff out prey or threats from far away. Its binocular vision gave it depth perception comparable to modern birds of prey, and it had the motor coordination needed to track, chase, and hunt moving targets. And here's where things get really wild. Recent research suggests that the T-Rex's brain may have had neuron densities similar to modern baboons. That's right, baboons, the same animals known for their cleverness, coordination, and sometimes downright chaotic creativity. So no, this wasn't some mindless biting machine. It was a predator that learned, adapted, and possibly even strategized. But here's the catch. While T-Rex had the tools to fight, elephants have millions of years of mammalian brain evolution on their side. That translates into better fine muscle control, better decision-making under pressure, and the ability to respond to new threats in real time. So what does that mean for our showdown? This fight isn't ending with one bite or one body slam. No way. This is going to be a grueling, drawn-out brawl, the kind of fight that tests not just muscle but mental stamina. It's chess with tusks and teeth. Every move matters. So ask yourself, can an elephant outsmart a predator that survived by hunting armored tanks like Triceratops? Or will the T-Rex, with its deadly instincts and sensory superpowers, slowly chip away at its massive opponent until the tide turns? Which matters more, battle-tested intelligence or cold-blooded efficiency? We're almost at the finish line, and trust me, the final verdict might surprise you. Who wins? The dramatic final verdict. So here we are. The dust has settled, the ground is torn, the trumpets have faded, and the roars have echoed into silence. It's been one wild ride, hasn't it? On one side, the African elephant, a modern marvel of strength, intelligence, and emotional complexity. On the other, the Tyrannosaurus rex, a prehistoric predator designed by evolution to dominate everything in its path. So the question we've all been waiting for, the one that's probably burning in your brain right now, who actually wins? Well folks, as much as it pains me to say it because I absolutely adore elephants and everything they stand for, the winner is T-Rex. Yeah, the king stays king. Let's break it down. T-Rex had one job in life: take down enormous, dangerous prey. Its entire body was optimized for this exact kind of combat. It knew how to keep its distance when needed, how to dart in and bite when the opportunity struck, and how to turn a single bite into a fight-ending injury. It didn't just hunt for food. It hunted to survive. Every battle counted. And while our mighty elephant is smart, strong, and majestic, it's not used to this kind of one-on-one, no-holds-barred combat. Elephants today don't face predators that challenge them head-on. They rule the savannah by intimidation, not by tooth and claw warfare. Sure, the elephant could land a devastating charge. Maybe even knock the T-Rex down if it got lucky, but it's a risky move. One misstep, one slip, and those banana-sized teeth come crashing down, and they're not just biting, they're crushing. Spine, bone, shoulder, even that thick skull isn't safe when you're dealing with 12,000 psi of bite force. And remember, the T-Rex has done this before. It's not theorizing, it's got the battle scars to prove it. Triceratops, Ankylosaurus, massive hadrosaurs, those weren't easy opponents. They were built like tanks too, and T-Rex made them dinner. So yeah, this battle would be long, bloody, and brutal, not a quick knockout. Both animals would walk away injured, well, if either of them walks away at all. But in the end, it's the T-Rex's killer instinct, battle-tested tactics, and natural weaponry that give it the edge. Think of it like this: the elephant is a brilliant, heavyweight bouncer at a nightclub. Calm, strong, respected. But the T-Rex, it's a bare-knuckle cage fighter from the Cretaceous, covered in scars, raised in chaos, and built to finish the job. And in the ring of nature, that experience matters. So there you have it. Prehistoric power beats modern muscle, at least in this epic matchup. But hey, don't feel too bad for the elephant. It's still the undefeated champion of today's animal kingdom. And besides, I wouldn't want to stand in front of one either.